it's very important to understand what happened here. We have been very clear, we wanted to wear it and we were committed. And on Saturday before the game, we felt we reached an understanding where we would wear it. We hadn't got permission, but that we would then face a fine for it. Unfortunately, then on the day of the game, they gave us 10 minutes notice, 2 hours before we were due to go to the game, and they came here with 5 officials and they ran us through a scenario where, at a minimum, anyone wearing the armband would be booked and would face disciplinary action on top of that.
What was the disciplinary action on top of that?
It was unlimited. They would take a disciplinary action against any player who was wearing the armband on top of having a yellow card.
So Harry Kane, assuming it was Harry who wore that armband, would have got minimum a yellow card, but then could have been banned for further games, you're saying?
That's correct.
Could it have gone further than that? Are we talking about points deduction for England?
It's not clear. They just said that they would take disciplinary action, and obviously there's unlimited liability effectively in that action.
How would you describe the behaviour of FIFA then?
So the way they acted was completely unprecedented. All I can say is the level of feeling was really high. We're frustrated, we were angry. We thought it was outrageous the way that this was handled.
Ian Wright summed it up for a lot of people. He said there's no protest without risk. It would have been such a powerful protest to actually put something on the line, like the LGBT community do every day of their lives.
I understand that, and look, it's a valid point of view that people have. We felt we couldn't put the players in a position where the World Cup, which many of them have dreamt of playing since they were young, suddenly they might not be able to play a part in it. Suddenly they might be facing a ban, and that's just not a scenario which we felt we could put them in.
Would you agree that the one legacy from this tournament is that the World Cup is not in future awarded to a country where homosexuality is criminalised?
I do think that as any bidding criteria, you have to have a basic level of human rights, and that's absolutely part of the discussion that has to be had. I think that has to be had at the point when countries bid for the World Cup, not a discussion that takes place in the build-up to it.
For many LGBT fans and figures in football, the last week has underlined men's football remains a place where to be gay is to be isolated.
I understand the hurt the communities are feeling, and that's the last thing we wanted to do. We want to show support for these communities, and it's incredibly frustrating for us that we've not been able to do so.
And here's a FIFA statement for you. FIFA says it's an inclusive organisation that wants to put football to the benefit of society by supporting good and legitimate causes, but it has to be done within the framework of the competition regulations which are known to everyone. So, Ian, Mark Bullingham understood what you said. Do you understand what he says, which is effectively we could not risk a points deduction, a potential unlimited sanction against our players?
Well, you're looking at FIFA as an organisation turning up at England's hotel 2 hours before a game, like mob-handed, threatening them with what they can do. I'm sure that's going to frighten them a little bit, but they decided to do it before the tournament. And for me, I'm going to stand by what I said. You know, I said a couple of nights ago that there's no protest without risk. There's nothing more I can say on it. You know, I wanted them to wear it. They didn't wear it. The FA have now given their reasons why they couldn't do it, and you know, I'm done with it, bro. I'm done.
You worked within the FA when you worked with Roy Hodgson in the England team. What do you make of what you heard from Mark Bullingham?
It's what I expect the FA would say. They're a risk-averse organisation, always have been. Doesn't surprise me that FIFA have acted like that. They're a rogue organisation who, to be fair, I think in this particular tournament are probably seeing them at their worst. They don't need to be that way. They represent world football. I don't think they're a great face for world football. I think what's an armband going to do really to harm FIFA? You know, I accept the fact that ultimately they've got rules and laws against political protest. Players can't pull their shirts up and see T-shirts. We saw, you know, I think Bentner got fined for an advertisement, you know, years ago. But the reality is, I think they should have seen it through because they'd spoken so much about it and they'd backed themselves into a corner on it. But they also have a situation whereby I think football players are being asked a lot of nowadays. We've got players in our dressing room like Rashford who fought political battles and won. We've got Raheem Sterling who spoke out 4 or 5 years ago on racism, who I think changed the landscape of how we discuss racism nowadays in football. But it always seems to be football players that are being asked to put themselves in the forefront. But every other sector in the country that has relationships with the Middle East or parts of the world where it's illegal to be gay, they're OK just to carry on doing what they're doing. So I'm proud of them lads that play for England. They're a great bunch. They've done more for English football and for England, I think, in the last 4 or 5 years than most. However, I think they probably should have seen it through because they backed themselves into a corner. Once you say you're going to do something, you follow through with it.
Yeah, the interview there, obviously with the FA, obviously just a bit of PR. But I agree, if the players felt that strongly about it, I don't think there would have been deducted points, all these sanctions, obviously they're just threats. If the players strongly believe in it, which they've been talking about for a long time, stick to your guns and be prepared to take that punishment.